The 1996 founding convention of the Labor Party included union locals and 9 internationals, representing nearly 2 million union members. After 2 years, the Labor Party failed to take root and faded from the scene due to the untimely death of its leader, Tony Mazzocchi, and the fact that it postponed running candidates. Today, trade unionists are again talking about this significant event from the mid-1990s and are considering its relevance in light of present attacks from Republicans and Democrats. With that in mind, we present this archival edition of Labor Party Convention 96.
June 6, 1996, 1,300 delegates convened in Cleveland, Ohio for the founding convention of Labor Party advocates. After endless anti-worker attacks by Democrats and Republicans alike, international unions, locals, and community chapter members joined for 3 days of discussion and debate. The delegates reached an agreement on both a constitution and a program, launching a serious challenge to the two-party system in the United States.
Our membership feels that a change has to be made. Neither the Republicans nor the Democrats are serving the needs of working people in America. They're not serving the needs of middle America or the small business person or the unemployed, the elderly. And we have submitted to our own conventions many resolutions on record to support the development of a third party, whether it be called LPA or whether it be called a Working People's Party in America. There are resolutions on our books, and it's with great enthusiasm that we join this larger body because we think it's long overdue. Since NAFTA and since GATT, it is clear that neither the Republicans nor the Democrats nor the Pat Buchanans, who masquerade as the allies of working people, nor Ross Perot, whose United We Stand as a big camouflage for big business politics, they don't represent any of us.
9 international unions endorsed the founding convention, including the ILWU, International Longshoremen's and Warehousemen's Union, OCA, Oil, Chemical, and Atomic Workers International Union, the UE, United Electrical, Radio, and Machine Workers of America, AFGE, American Federation of Government Employees, and the UMWA, United Mine Workers of America. A few of the endorsing internationals, like the UE and the ILWU, have had a strong history of militant unionism and political action. Others have made the decisive split with the Democratic Party due to government interference in the right to strike, sometimes the only tool workers have to bargain effectively with an employer. This is the case with the BMWE, Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Employees, another endorsing international union.
We recognized early on the need for a party to represent the interests of the working people. And I guess the final straw for many of us was our last contract, our last round of bargaining. We're under the Railway Labor Act. And under the Railway Labor Act, you have a lot of government steps you have to follow in order to get through your round. And the government completely controls the timing of your negotiations. And first off, our negotiations was delayed by the Republican administration. It took 3 years to get to the point of where we had the right to strike, or the so-called right to strike. Then in April of 1991, we finally had the right to strike. We struck on April 17th, and in 17 hours, a then democratically controlled Congress forced us back to work and imposed late 19th century working conditions on our members. We lost the right to strike, and therefore we lost our ability to fight for a decent contract.
Other unions present were those serving worker populations that have a history of exploitation.
We have come to endorse this Labor Party effort because we believe that oppressed minorities, people of color, working people, need a forum that we do not have in the existing political parties. We feel that by endorsing that we would open the way for us to get our issues exposed and heard that you don't hear from the other political parties. There's certainly not political issues of the day. They are political issues, but in the most negative of ways. For instance, immigration issues. We represent farm workers who migrate all over the country, and our legal status is always questioned, whether we're American citizens or not. And we need a party that sees things from this perspective. And we don't think that this stuff is being talked about anywhere else. So we feel that if we're part of this Labor Party, we endorse it, that we get our issues on the floor and we speak to it. And we hope that this party would be open to hearing what America life is like from another perspective, from a different experience.
It's very important, very historic time. And I guess as African Americans, you know, one of our main concerns and hopes is that we can overcome through this process some of the historical weaknesses that have existed in the effort to unify the working classes in this country, hoping that we can overcome them through the building of this Labor Party movement. Now we have the dismantling again of, you know, the majority black congressional districts, attacks on national peoples, such as the Latino communities with Proposition 187. You know, these kinds of actions that are going on now around the country is very, very important for a Labor Party to come out in strong, forceful way in opposition to these trends. Terror is being forced against our community again in terms of the burnings and the bombings of the churches. You know, these are critical issues that we've been looking at.
Besides the international unions, many local unions, some with as many as 10,000 members, endorsed and sent delegates to the convention. For the last few years, Labor Party chapters have formed across the United States and were encouraged to send delegates. Rounding out the participants were numerous at-large delegates and worker organizations.
Does that mean that half of the National Council will be women or labor?
All actual delegates had voting rights, voting power determined by who you represented. International unions had the most voting power, followed by local unions, worker organizations, chapters, and at-large delegates. Colored voting cards were issued accordingly. To the same extent, seating schedules also conveyed voting power. International unions and locals front and center, chapters and at-large delegates furthest from the podium.
Those in favor, please signify by holding up your cards. Those opposed?
During votes, one could often detect a split between the front and the back of the room. One point needing no debate was the question of solidarity. Workers at the forefront of critical labor struggles spoke from the podium.
We are becoming a more militant and confrontational bunch. Yet our circulation and advertising boycotts have cost the company an estimated $260 to $300 million in actual losses. That's actual losses and foregone profits. We've annihilated their reputations. In the public's mind, journalistic integrity and freedom of the press no longer exist in Detroit. And yet these mega corporations have not budged at the bargaining table. The longer the strike drags on, the deeper their pockets seem to get. Truth and decency are alien concepts in their so-called new corporate reality. In fact, in this new reality, the strike is over and we have all been replaced. But have no doubts, the remaining 2,000 of us on strike grow stronger and more determined to win with every blow. This is a war. We have dug in our heels and we will not surrender.
I wanted to share another side of labor with you today. Thank you for all the help that you gave us in the war zone, for a struggle that lasted 3 years, for a struggle that was lost because we have too many bureaucrats in our labor movement, too many bureaucrats in our Congress, because of an oligarchy in the House of Labor that could not be moved fast enough or far enough. But it was not a total loss because we all learned from the Staley struggle, especially Lane Kirkland. We were not the victims entirely of corporate greed. We were the victims of business unionism, of an international union that cared more about bringing dues in than fighting a war, of labor's generals who sent us to the troops, to the foxholes, and to the trenches, and then deserted us. The rank and file on this floor, local union officers, international presidents included in this room, never walked away.
In the 3 days allotted, delegates struggled to reach agreement on both a founding constitution and a program. We all have the right to a decent paying job and a decent place to live, to join a union freely without fear of being fired or other retribution, to strike without fear of losing our job, not to be discriminated against because of our race, gender, ethnicity, disability, national origin, or sexual orientation at work or in our communities, to free quality public education for ourselves and our children, to universal access to publicly funded, comprehensive, quality health care for all residents, to retire at a decent standard of living after a lifetime of work, to quality of life in our communities enhanced by a fully funded public sector. The Democratic and Republican parties serve the corporate interests that finance them. We oppose corporate power that undermines democratic institutions and governments. We oppose corporate politicians and parties that provide billions in corporate tax breaks and subsidies to the rich, selling themselves to the highest bidder. We reject the false choice of jobs versus environmental responsibility. We will not be held hostage by corporate polluters who poison our workplaces and our communities. We reject the redistribution of billions of dollars of wealth from poor and working people to the rich. And we reject every opportunist who plays the race, gender, or immigrant card to keep us from addressing our real needs and the needs of our families and communities. Our Labor Party understands that our struggle for democracy pits us against a corporate elite that will fight hard to retain its power and privileges. This is the struggle of our generation. The future of our children and their children hangs in the balance. It is a struggle we cannot afford to lose. As delegates proposed amendments and changes to the draft documents, heated debates took place over program and strategy. Although larger unions often determined the final vote, democratic discussion and debate reigned in the convention hall. One of the pivotal debates centered on electoral strategy.
We call on the Labor Party to call a second convention in 2 years to assess our campaigns, our recruitment process, to develop the next steps in building our new organizing approach to politics, and to decide if the time is right for us to move into the national electoral arena. Local chapters, county organizations, or state organizations of
in launching a Labor Party and projecting a series of actions, demonstrations, rallies, picket lines, where change in America must begin in the streets of our city, outside the plant gates, and in the community. And out of that will come an electoral strategy that will shape the foundation of this country. This evening is the time for debate, please. I will say another thing. We have come this far because we have deftly avoided a head-on confrontation with the national leaders of the AFL-CIO and our own unions in their majority by not challenging them on their own turf, the electoral strategy. We have to build our movement, we have to avoid head-on confrontations, and if they want to support the Democratic Party and continue to do so, and they will do so, until we build up our forces strong enough to challenge them on their own turf. And I propose not to fight them there until we've won the battle in the street. I propose that when we want to decide,
I think that if we're going to have a fundamental organizing tool for the Labor Party advocates, we have to begin organizing our communities now, running people for local and state elections. We don't need a mass budget from LPA to get that done. We can raise the money as citizens of our local community. Good example that can be done and be successful is what we did during the Staley lockout by changing the local mayor and several council seats in the city of Decatur. So it is possible. And if we're going to be conducting those type of activities, it ought to be in the name of the Labor Party advocates.
The issue that's being discussed this morning is the implementation of the labor platform policies in a broad sense. That's my opinion. And I feel as if the resolution that came out of the platform in the Constitution Committee is the correct platform to follow at this time. As a Labor Party, we are not in the position to run candidates because we will not be able to get them elected. And that's the key point, is if we run people, we should be able to get them elected.
All right, I mean, there's a lot of debate going on here at the convention, at the Labor Party Advocates Convention, and it's been good debate. It's been nip and tuck, and I think the biggest debate of all is coming forth just about now, whereby a good many people want to run people for office immediately. Some people want to wait, and that's where the biggest debate is going to come from. Myself, I believe we should wait for a while, get a little stronger, get some money, get more unions involved, and I believe next time around we'll be ready. We ought to be ready. If we don't, we're not running much of a party.
all those in favor, and once again, this will be through cards. Please let's have your attention. All those in favor of the new organizing approach to politics as amended by the friendly amendment, as revised June 8, 1996, please signify by raising your cards. Thank you very much. Put them down. Those opposed, please raise your cards. It is clear that the new organizing approach to politics
I'm encouraged by the progress of the convention to date. I'm especially pleased that it's been clearly decided, definitively decided, that the Labor Party will not be endorsing any Democrat or Republican or any other of these candidates of the boss's parties in the period ahead. I wish that the amendment to the proposition on electoral action had passed so that we could more rapidly put forward Labor Party candidates, at least on the local level. But I think that's going to be an ongoing struggle, and we'll continue to fight that one through. But the main question was to close the door on endorsing these other candidates, and that's been done. So that is a big major plus for the convention.
In the final vote, after at least a half-day's debate on the topic, it was decided that the next 2 years be spent organizing both a membership base and militant labor actions. Cleveland Mayor Michael White got some action when the convention agreed to recess to confront White's recent anti-labor tactics. White, Cleveland's Democratic ticket mayor, had recently written to the Republican state Senate president asking that he help reverse collective bargaining laws. White claims that current laws are preventing him from providing services to the city. He has recently come into conflict with city teachers, firefighters, and police. Activists rallying in front of City Hall shut down Lakeside Avenue, a main rush-hour thoroughfare in Cleveland. Ralliers then proceeded down the block to the Marriott Hotel, where Mayor White was presumed to be meeting. After an energetic chant session and Marriott lobby sit-in, labor supporters left, sending a special message to the Marriott, a notorious anti-union corporation.
The only real gains that workers have ever were able to make is what we've earned on the street. And so what we need to do right now is what we're doing here, and that's forming a labor party by the workers, for the people, for the families that we care and love. And that's what I'm here for, and promoting it and talking to as many people as possible. This is a historic event, and I'm proud to be here. And it's just a beginning. Thank you.